Today we're going to learn about multiplying integers. Multiplication is just repeated addition. For example, 3 times 2 equals 6. That's the same as 3 plus 3. 3 added together 2 times equals 6, and 2 added 3 times also equals 6. Let's look at that on a number line. If I add 2 3 times, or make 3 groups of 2, that's 2, 4, 6. That's like saying I earn $2 every time I clean my room, and I cleaned my room 3 times last month. So in all, I have $6. 2, 4, 6. Multiply integers with different signs. On this board, I want you to push pause and find the pattern to complete the table. Look down the rows and look across. Go ahead and push pause. Okay, you should have seen in this pattern that going up and down, this kind of looks like a number line here, a vertical number line. We have positive numbers above 0 and negative numbers below 0. Here we all have the same number. And looking over here, I have 4, 2, 0. The number seems to be decreasing by 2s. So what's lower than 0? 2 lower than 0. Negative 2, negative 4, negative 6. Now let's look across. We have a negative 1 times a positive 2 equals a negative 2. A negative 2 times a positive 2 equals a negative 4. And we have a negative 3 times a positive 2 gives us a negative 6. So in conclusion, I can say that a negative number times a positive number is going to equal a negative number. Let's look at an example. Example, 3 times negative 2 equals, well, I drew out 3 sets of 2 negative chips. That's 2, 4, 6, and I can jump it on the number line. 3 times I'm going to move in a negative direction 2 jumps. So 1, 2, that's 1 time. 1, 2, that's 2 times. 1, 2, that's 3 times that I jumped in a negative direction 2 jumps. Negative 6 is where I end it, and I have 6 negative integer chips. I borrowed $2 from 3 of my friends at lunch. Now I owe $6. That's a negative 6. If I borrow money, that's a debt. A debt is a negative number. Multiply integers with the same sign. On this board, I want you to push pause and find the pattern on the table to complete the table. Go ahead and push pause. Okay. Negative 3 times 3 equals a negative 9. All right, I'm looking at my pattern here. All the way up and down here we have negative 3, and on this line right here it looks like a number line once again. Positive numbers moving up, negative numbers moving down. 0, 1, 2, 3, those are my positives. Negative 1, negative 2 moving downwards. Now let's look at my answer section and see if we can find a pattern there. I have negative 9, negative 6, negative 3. Okay, I'm seeing that my numbers are increasing by 3, because remember, your numbers increase as you move closer to 0 or closer to positive numbers. So, negative 9 plus 3 is negative 6, plus 3 is negative 3, plus 3 would give me 0. Then if I add 3 more, I end up with 3, and if I add 3 more, I end up with 6. So, look across. Negative 3 times positive 3 is a negative 9. Negative 3 times a positive 2 is a negative 6, and negative 3 times positive 1 is a negative 3. A positive times a negative is a negative. Positive times a negative, negative. Positive times a negative is a negative. Now, negative 3 times 0, anything times 0 is just 0, and 0 is neither positive nor negative. So we just say 0. Negative 3 times negative 1 is the positive number. We're going to get a positive 3 here, because it's like I'm taking away the negativity. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. Again, two negatives are going to cancel each other out. An example of this is negative 3 times a negative 2. If I have negative 3 times negative 2, that's almost looks like I'm going to be moving in a negative direction, but since they're two negatives together, they cancel each other out. So we start 0, and we can move 1, 2, 2 jumps 3 times in a positive direction, because the two negatives cancel each other out. Again, I have 3 sets of negative integer chips here, but again, the negatives, the double negatives cancel each other out, changing these to positive, because we're taking away the negative. So we have a positive 6. To make sense of this, let's take this story to help a little more. I borrowed $2 from 3 of my friends, but all 3 said I did not need to pay it back. I get to keep the $6. And here's my friend saying, you can have it, and here I am saying, thank you. In this section, I want you to pause it and try these out on your own. Then hit the pause button again, or the play button, and I'll go over these with you. Okay, negative 3 times 5. Negative 3 times 5, well, I know that 3 times 5 is 15. And on an earlier board, I learned that a negative times a positive is a negative. It's like saying I owe 5 of my friends $3. In all, I owe $15. Number 2 is a negative times a negative. I know 4 times 6 is 24. And a negative times a negative, those are going to cancel each other out. It's just going to be a positive 24. I can leave it like this with no positive sign, or I could put a positive sign on it. They both mean the same thing. I have negative 7 times negative 8. I know 7 times 8 is 56. And a negative times a negative is a positive. Again, it's like me saying, I owe 7 of my friends $8, but all 7 of them said, don't worry about paying me back, you can keep the money. So I get to keep the $56. It's not a debt. Number 4, 2 times 9 is 18. Negative 4 times negative 6, 4 times 6 is 24, and a negative times a negative is a positive. I have 4 friends. I owe them $6 each, but all 4 said, don't worry about paying me back. I get to keep the $24. It's not a debt. Number 6, negative 3 times 10. Negative 3 times 10, I know 3 times 10 is 30, and a negative times a positive is a negative. Excuse me. I owe 10 friends $3, and all I owe $30. Last part says, write an expression to match. I lost 2 packages of pencils with 12 in each. Okay, I could say that 2 packages, and since I lost them, losing something is a negative. I lost 2 packages. There were 12 pencils in each. So this would be my expression, negative 2 times 12, and that's going to equal a negative 24. So that means I lost 24 pencils